The Azoetia is a grimoire that is a grammar of the arte magical, and as such it is written specifically with the serious student in mind. And yet, the true text of the Azoetia is not the book you are presently holding or hearing. This is only a visible means by which the invisible and quintessential grammar of magic may be read. In a sense, I am burdened with the guilt of revealing that which is held by some to be secret, and yet I am burdened with a greater guilt, that of my own inadequacy to articulate the whole grammar of magic in communicable terms. This in itself is perhaps an impossible task, since the subject is more refined than the medium of its communication. The mundane linguistic being sufficient only to approximate that which by its very nature may only be subtle in fur. Much of this book is obscure, even to those familiar with the subject, and I would advise the reader to study it in the context of the whole tradition of magic, and then to apply it within their own particular field, for it has been endeavored to define those principles underlying the many different paths of magic and to unify them within a single body of a working grimoire. In writing this book, I have drawn my inspiration from visionary dreams, which in turn have had their inspiration in my study and practice of magic over a number of years. And thus, it may be said that this grimoire is in itself the rectification of the initiating current which inspires the pursuit of the magical path. It embodies the sacred vision of the arte as experienced by a traditional practitioner, and thus is the living truth of magic. All currents of magic flow from a single fountain, and I, in drawing this grimoire from the dreams, have hopefully filled a cup from a pure source. Admittedly, all currents are adapted by the channel through which they pass, and my work has been influenced by many traditions and authorities of occultism, but nonetheless, in particular in such magic as I have dreamed of, I am manifesting it in divisible unity as best as I am presently able. So here in this text, in these few words that we have just heard, is actually giving us a truth, because sometimes we dream, and sometimes the dreams that we have, they are dreams that come from our emotions. They come from traumas. They come from the past. They come from some programming that we have had implanted in the past by the school, by the education, by religion, by our parents. So if we do not make the actual arte of magic, we are going to be drawing from our dreams some of these traumas, some of these fears that we don't want, right? So that's why we have to do like a recap. We have to do a recap every time, every single moment. We have to be conscious of our emotions. We have to be conscious of our thoughts. We have to be conscious of our surrounding and of our inside in every single moment. You know, for example, if you are dealing with some problems at work, if you are dealing with some situations in your house, with your family, in a relationship with a friend or anything like that, you need to be conscious of your mind. You need to be conscious of your emotions, your heart, of your God, because sometimes our God speaks to us, right? And we say, "Oh, that's the intuition," and we go and follow the supposedly intuition. And sometimes it is right, and sometimes it's not what we were supposed to be dealing with, right? So, in order for us to be more conscious, to not follow our mind, to not follow our emotions, but instead our mind follows our attention, our our will. We have to make a strong will. We have to make a strong will. We have to have will. If you don't have a will, your own will, then you will never do real magic, because all the time you are going to be doing what everybody says. Every time you are going to be doing what the law says, what the religion says, what the education says, and you are going to be following the path of everyone else but not yours. So that's why when we dream, it's important for us to not follow our dreams, to not get lost on our dreams, because sometimes we get lost in our dreams. We think that our dreams and the oniric world is like really good. We think that for example, I have heard a lot about astral projection, astral projection, and to have to fly in the astral world and all those kind of things. And that can be possible. Yes, it can be possible. But first, before you go and travel to the astral, you first need to purify your astral, because in the astral world, you are going to have your emotion, you are going to have the mind, you are going to have traumas, you are going to have a lot of these things that that, for example, during the day, if you are not aware during the day, if you are not aware of your mind, if you are not aware of your emotions, now imagine when you are dreaming, imagine when you are sleeping, you are going to be out. You are going to be zoned out. You are not going to be aware of what's happening in your mind. You are not going to be aware of what's happening in your emotions in that oniric world. Because what we live during the day, when we are awake in our emotions and our mind, we also live it when we are sleeping. So that's why, for example, yogis or magicians and all these kind of people that practice magic and all these kind of things that now we call it neurokinesis, the new art of magic, neurokinesis. And what we actually do, yeah. So what I was talking about, what was I saying? Remember me. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry. So I was speaking about the magical path, and let me remember what I was saying. Just give me 1 second. Let me go back in my mind. Oh yeah, so that's why yogis and magic people and all these kind of people that practice magic and all these kind of practices, they try to be quiet on the mind, right? For example, when you are speaking, sometimes you are speaking and you have a lot of things in your mind. You are afraid of speaking and you are afraid of committing an error, a mistake. For example, I don't know how to speak English so good, right? So just because I don't know how to speak English so good doesn't mean that I am not going to try to do a video recording, right? Speaking in English. I'm going to try to do my best, and I'm going to try to do my best. While I'm doing it, I'm going to put all the attention in what I'm doing. I'm going to pay attention to my words. I'm going to pay attention to what I'm reading. I'm going to pay attention to what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to let my mind direct my attention and direct my energy. That's what magic is about. So when you are able to do that, that's when we say you are aware, you are conscious, you are aware of yourself. So when you finally are aware of yourself, when you finally become aware and conscious, and when finally there's silence in your mind, when there are no thoughts in your mind, when the emotions don't go around all day in your mind, because sometimes we fight with, for example, you fight with your daughter, you fight with your father, you fight with your uncle, you fight with somebody, right? And when you fight all day, you have your emotions in your mind all day, thinking about the situation, thinking about the problem, thinking about that issue, thinking about the billing. For example, no, you are all day thinking about the billing. So when you dream, you are going to dream all of those emotions, all of those things that you have in your mind. That's why I'm telling you, when you practice magic, when you practice neurokinesis, when you practice alchemia, or when you practice yoga, you are trying to meditate, which is calm your mind, silence your mind, and pay attention to what you are doing. You are the Mercury. That's why it's meditation. Meditation for mediation. You are mediating something from one side to another side, right? You are making that communication, if you want to say it like that. So you are the Mercury. So you need to pay attention in order for you to do what you are needed to do. Remember, that's why in the tarot or the Torah, for Bota, for the Rosicrucian internal school, Paul Foster case, we have in key number one, we have in key number one, the magician. And the magician is the Mercury. He is showing you that he has one hand up on the raise. He has a raised hand, and he has another hand down. So he's doing this. He's doing this because he is the Mercury. He is the one that is making the union, the connection. And how is he making that connection from the spiritual world to the material world? He is doing it by attention. Yes, he is visualizing. He is using imagination. He is using his eyes, the eye of the mind. This eye of the mind, you have to use the eye of the mind. So when you use the eye of the mind, visualizing, right, imagining, right, thinking about it, you are paying attention, full attention to that. So for example, if you want to have magical memory, super memory, you need to pay full attention to that. And how can you pay full attention to that? By not thinking about something else, right? And how are you not going to think about something else? Well, you have to use the eye of your mind, you have to visualize, you have to imagine, you have to create an image in your mind about what you are doing so you can remember, because you are paying full attention. And when you are visualizing, there are some neuronal connections that are going on in your brain, that in magic or in alchemy we call that fix. We are fixing the spirit, we are fixing the mercury, we are fixing the soul, we are fixing the spirit world, we are fixing the mind, we are fixing that which cannot be seen, and we are fixing it inside of our own body. We are crystallizing it in our own body by visualizing it. Because when we visualize it, we are creating those connections in our brain. So that's why we can have the memory forever. We can remember. And that's when you call it super memory. Because you pay full attention with the eye of your mind, and so you can remember everything. If you don't pay full attention with the eye of your mind, then you are not going to pay full attention, you are not going to remember, because you only have it maybe with your ear, but you were thinking about something else, and you were looking at something else. You were not putting full attention. That's why they say that a true magician is that which can use the circle. That which can use the circle. The circle in itself is the pentagram, and the pentagram in itself is the 5 elements, is the 5 senses of the mind and the body. So when you use the 5 senses, when you use the circle, you are doing magic, and that's when you become the Mercury, you become the magician. Pay attention, motherfucker. Pay attention, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm doing magic. In writing this book, I have drawn my inspiration from visionary dreams, which in turn have had their inspiration in my study and practice of magic over a number of years, and thus it may be said that this grimoire is in itself the reification of the initiating current which inspires the pursuit of the magical path. It embodies the sacred vision of the arte as experience by a traditional practitioner, and thus is the living truth of magica. All currents of magic flow from a single fountain, from a single fountain, and I, in a drawing, this grimoire from my dreams, have hopefully filled a cup from a pure source. As we said before, you have to pay attention in the, when you are away, when we are away during the day, to your mind, you have to pay full attention to your emotions and don't let it flow that way. You have to be aware of everything. And so that way, when you dream, you are going to fill your cup with pure water, not with some mud, All currents of magic flow from a single fountain, and I, in drawing this grimoire from my dreams, have hopefully filled a cup from a pure source. Admittedly, all currents are adapted by the channel through which they pass, and my work has been influenced by many traditions and authorities of occultism, but nonetheless, in articulating such magic as I have dreamed of, I am manifesting its indivisible unity as best as I am recently able. So this is for this book that we are reading right now, which is the Azoetia. But if you want something more technical, something a little bit more modern for the times that we are living in right now, we have the book which is called El Gatillador Atemporal, and we have it in English. We have it in Spanish, we have it in English, we have it in Portuguese, we have it in French, we have it in German, we have it in Japanese, we have it in Chinese. We have it in 22 different languages. So it doesn't matter what language you want this book, just ask for it and we are going to send you that book, okay? It's called El Gatillador Atemporal. And it comes with a, more modern and more technological language, with a more technological language, if you say so, with electricity and, all the modern stuffs that we have. Because actually magic, what we call magic, is what we now call physics, quantum physics, mechanical quantum. And so if you want that book, I'm going to leave it. And this book is a grammar of high sorcery. It is not to be read or interpreted in any single of a straightforward manner, but it is rather to be contemplated and seen in as many-sided jewel, refracting and reflecting the light of a solitary star. That star burns with magic itself. It is not to be tied down in unpoetic dissertations upon those latent mysteries, but it is to be seen as a source of power, to be exalted and refined through divine artistry. To treat this power unjustly or imprudently is to burn one's finger, if not one's soul. It is not jokingly that I say, men may light the flames of the sun that will nurture him or the hell that will consume him. Hopefully, the common fool will not have sufficient patience to light this fire. They don't have the sufficient patience. If you are a normal peasant, you have already gone from this video. You cannot even understand what I'm saying because you don't speak the language of the magicians. Because English is the language of the magicians. It is the mother language through which our speech is going to manifest in the world. Magic. What happened to the Telegram group? I'm going to leave it here in the link. You speak a little bit of English, then you have to, a magician speaks English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, German. Je m'appelle français, je m'appelle Marlon, je suis mexicain, j'ai 26 ans. Je ne sais pas parler japonais, je sais parler anglais, je sais parler espagnol, je sais parler, you need to know a lot of languages. Magicians know a lot of languages. Magicians know a lot of things. Magicians, they have a lot of mind control. If you are, if you have time to play Roblox, if you have time to watch Netflix, if you have time to watch the news, if you have time to go and play soccer, if you have time to go and drink some beer, then you also have time to study. You have time to do some magic. You have time to develop your powers. You have to develop your powers, the mind. You have to develop your emotions. You have to develop your body. If not, you cannot call yourself a magician. If not, you cannot call yourself an alchemician. That's how you say it. A magician, alchemician. You cannot call yourself a yogi. When you go to India, when you go to China, when you speak with these people that practice, for example, Qigong, Neikun, or yoga and those type of things, they speak different languages. They speak Mandarin, Chinese, Japanese, Hindu. They speak Hebrew, English, Spanish, because they have developed their powers, And when you develop your powers, you develop something that you remember your life, your past lives. And when you remember your past lives, it's easier for you to learn these languages. For example, English, Japanese, Chinese, it doesn't matter what language. And when you practice, everything is in the practice. Everything is in experience, as this book said. As we said in the other video where we spoke in Spanish, ahí decía precisamente cuando hablamos en español que todo está en la práctica. Si no practicas y no experimentas, no vas a obtener el verdadero conocimiento. If you don't practice, if you don't experiment, if you don't experience with magic and all of those kind of teachings, you are not going to obtain that true teaching, that true knowledge. And when you obtain that true knowledge, then you are going to be able to learn a lot of different things really, really quick. For example, right now we are speaking in English, but later on we are going to do more videos where we are going to be speaking in Hebrew. We are going to be speaking in Latin. We are going to be speaking in Japanese. We are going to be speaking in Portuguese. And in those languages, we are going to be giving all these teachings, and we are not going to be speaking in Spanish anymore. So if you want to follow what we are going to be speaking about from here on now, you have to develop your powers. And right now, I'm going to give you, it's called a sigil, and this sigil is going to help you out in order for you to learn English, to learn different languages more quickly. So I'm going to leave it for you here. Just give me 1 second, let me do it. Use this sigil, visualize it in your mind, okay? And draw it inside of your third eye. Use the eye of your mind. You can use it in blue, red, or you can use it in green. I prefer green, but whichever, blue or green, those are the more powerful for this work. So you are going to use this one, blue or green. You are going to visualize it here in your third eye. You are going to use the eye of your mind. And once you do that, you are going to start reading in English. You are going to start reading in Spanish. You are going to start reading in Portuguese. You are going to start reading in Japanese. And you are going to see that you are going to be able to learn this language much faster than before. But remember that everything is in the eye of your mind. When you are reading, you are also visualizing, right? You are also using the eye of your mind so you can have that super memory power that a lot of people want to have, but they don't have and they don't know how to have because most people today don't have attention, you know? Most people today don't know how to focus in one thing. So in order for you to do magic, through magic, as we said before, you have to pay full attention of the moment present that you are right now. Azoetia. Alogos belzra, panathanatos, sphinxunto aldaitis, by the continuum of ecstasy, made manifest, the omnipresent stereo one, the form of forms, the one spirit fount of all sorcery. Incarnate am I, the reality of the living world, heart of the earth, and the sole son of the heaven. This is my body, avatar of the infinite I, the book of life, and the book of the Beth, temple of all gods, embodiment of the one true grimory, the book of death. Masked am I, the black and the silent God, virgin and hermaphrodite, inconceivable nature am I, the author of myself as I dream imperfection, a solitary and nomadic path, the sunlight to the Prince of Milne, not is my name known, the incommunicable secret, untranslated to the articulated, institutional is my will, eternal and immediate in realization, insatiable is my desire, and unquenchable inferno and wilfing possibility, to whom is the trespass but to self, all things shall be endured. For I am a kingdom of many kings, a battleground and a marriage bed, an empire of sensuality, the temple of my own pleasure now. Because through life I manifest, because through life I desire perfection in itself, which in myself I desire manifest. I am. Omnipresent spirits, in the ecstasies I form, because I am the ecstasis itself walking alone. And it don't matter where I live, inside or outside. If I express through myself or through the outside, it doesn't matter because I am what I am. I am that I am. The ecstasis itself that resides in your body, that resides in your heart, that resides in your mind, that resides in your soul. That's who I am. The rites of Azoetia are the formula of the dream reification. They are the results of, and the means to, the physical manifestation of oniric realities from beyond the present fractional instant of time. In essence, these formula embody a synthesis of arcana involved from the primeval cults of the Ophidian and Sabbatic mysteries. It is taught that the primal goddess it is to be invoked at the meeting place of three roads. This teaching is a hieroglyph symbolizing the meeting place or junction of the three states of awareness. Because you are aware of thyself through the body, through thyself through the emotion, yourself through the mind. So you are three times embodying yourself. This teaching is hieroglyphs, symbolizing the meeting place or junction of the three states of awareness, sleeping, dreaming, and waking. There it is said that gateway onto the continuity of existence lies. This continuity is the deity of which the goddess is the feminine aspect. The gateway is the state of hypnagogia, called the abyss of the non-integral being, the passage of the pre-dormitium leading directly into the oracular trance. All of initiation into these mysteries take place in the trance. In the outer, such acts are only symbolic of the true initiations that occur in the trance state. It is there that the true meaning of the rite is taught, and the way onto the grand Sabbath or graded vision lies. By dreams shall you come unto dreams. The Azoetic formula are the greater dreams, being derived from oniric visions of the Sabbatic conclaves occurring in the hypnagogia state. By the utterance of this formula at the meeting place of the three roads, the power of the goddess enter into all states of the divine artist, being thereby shall be a hive the bliss undying of the goddess. Once learned, the true meaning of these mysteries is communicated unto the outer under the hieroglyphic veil of the arcane of initiation. Thus, even in times when the true knowledge is lost, its symbols shall endure, being preserved until such time as their meaning shall be discerned. The dreaming tea is a key of gnosis. Possessing omniscience, it is a voice to speak the word before the birth of language, an ever open eye, unrestricted in domain and without horizons, its flesh unceasing, its fecundation and fornication is found fountainhead of creation. As Acronos, it is eternity rotating the central moment. Now its pleasure in all things is the eternity rotating the central moment, here and now, because you are present of thyself. Now its pleasure in all things is the light eternal of ecstasis, as vortex and helix, binding the forces of the arte magical, as helix and vortex, as vortex and helix, but finding the forces of the arte magical. Its beauty is eternal inspiration, the potential creativity of the waking, a well of transformation and a breaker of patterns. It is imagination realized simultaneously as concept and percept. It's preset a law unto myself, is eternal freedom, and will unbound the continuum of art incarnate. So be thyself and be yourself in all time by the awareness of thy mind and thy emotions and thy body. So no longer you be a slave of thy mind, thy body and thy emotions. The eye of the dreaming seer is a secret body of perception dwelling at the core, a spirit walking between the twilights, the watcher within the great double house. It is a sensualist amidst denied pleasures, hidden impenetrable tombs and treasure vaults, and Ophidian gleam, insurging impenetrable tombs and treasure vaults, and Ophidian gleam insurging chaotic waters, laughter, writing, vast sea winds, a glaring fire sweeping search white deserts, a shadow revealer in darkness, a blossom purring, scorched white deserts, a shadow for evocation clouds of scent, a seal base of moon pale poison, a dagger dripping thin, which chants the glory of uncoiling ecstasies in the rainbow spine, God of the artist's hand. O hand that by gesture imparted the word of truth, the letter of the sacred alphabet. In thy shadow be the form of our one desire, the sigil that is called our God. By thine automatism, through ecstasies, be the guild guided in the motion, in the secret of creation, given in the cipher of the mysteries hidden. In the stillness of thine outstretched form is the sign of the fivefold stars given. Within those angles, within the geometry of the quintessence, in the gates of the spirit, by the forefinger raised unto my lips, is the lightning of heaven, stayed the word made silent, and the truth spoken, ever in the sign of I. That's why you don't speak no more. That's why you only speak magic. And some will say, why can I only speak with you about magic? Why I cannot speak with you about something else? Because thy word is magic, because thy word is power, because thy word manifests in thy word.